All right. So today, second Mojo Monday, and which is straight coaching. We're going over sales techniques for buyers and sellers. Sales techniques for buyers and sellers. So, what are the goals from today? We're going to go over steps to creating rapport with clients, like what are some things you can say instantly to get them to believe in you, to get them to want to use you to secure that thing. We do lots of stuff about finding leads, do this and that, but without sales training, you can't convert all these leads. So that's what this whole purpose is today. How do you talk with somebody to get, Vanessa has that thing where she says, one and done, and you do it quite often. She goes out one time with the client, they write an offer, and they're done.
Oh, especially if it's far for me to drive.
Lots of times. She gets them on a one and done.
We're going to look at every single house, and you're going to pick one today.
And she'll set that expectation up front in a funny way, but they do. They listen. So how do you create rapport? That's interesting because that's an embedded command that you don't even realize that you're using. So we're going to go over the importance of tie downs in your communications. Tie downs, yes, I'm talking about words, not the physical tie downs. So anything. And then the importance of embedded commands to inspire your clients to take action. How can we get them to take action? That's the biggest thing, right? You have people on the fence. You've had somebody recently that said, "Oh, I'm going to hold off a little while, but if I see the right thing, I'll do it." How do you get those people to take action? So let's go into this. This is all about increasing your sales skills when working with buyers and sellers. So let's ask a couple questions, and I don't need anybody to answer these out loud, but these are some questions that you should think about when you're thinking about your sales skills. How would you rate your skills? How would you rate your sales skills? How would someone else rate your sales skills? When I'm talking about sales, I'm not talking about how many numbers you're hitting. I'm talking about your ability to take someone from, hello, my name is such and such, to under contract or close. That process. I'm not worried about the transaction management I'm talking about getting them to take the action. What are your sales skills? How would they measure up on a 1 to 10? Feel free to answer your own question, because you'll go back and review this later. But have you ever studied selling? That's a question to ask yourself. You're in real estate. How long have you been in the business, and have you ever taken the time to really study the craft? There's lots of books about real estate and this and that, but sometimes it's a matter of actually getting a non-real estate related study and actually look at basic selling. Do you practice your skills? And the question is, would you go to a doctor who didn't practice their skills? Would you go to a dentist that didn't have practice working on teeth and you had to get a root canal? No. You want to go to reviews, you want to see what they're studying, what they're doing. Have you ever been frustrated because you could not move someone to do something? You couldn't get someone to get off the fence. You knew it's what they wanted to do. Maybe you've even found the perfect house for them, but you couldn't get them to actually take action. That's a common thing. People get into frozen states sometimes. They get to this point where they don't want to move, and sometimes they have to be pushed. I have a tendency to get that way. I can get up to a certain point, then I'll stop, and I'll just hold. It'll be like a holding pattern of an airplane. I'll just sit there and wait. And then it takes someone to actually come in with a good tie down or a good embedded command to remind me that, you know what? That's right. I need to do this. Let me get it done. So, and then the last question is, you have to ask yourself, do you believe selling is a skill? Do you think it's just natural for some people, or do you think it's a skill? Again, these are rhetorical questions. I don't believe there's such thing as a natural salesperson. I mean, I understand some people might have a natural personality. But that's not even natural. I think everything's is behavioral. If you ask me, I'm a big fan of Freudism, and I think that behaviors are learned, and the way that you are is the way that you've been around. Maybe the people you are around, maybe you were just taught tie downs and embedded commands and neuro-linguistic programming, and you don't even realize it. So we look at this person and say, oh my gosh, he or she's a natural. Well, maybe they've just been practicing their whole life. They didn't realize that. So I don't ever get frustrated when I look at someone and say they're natural, because I don't believe that exists. There might be some in history, but so step number 1, 7 steps to building rapport with 7 steps to building rapport and being charming, because yes, there has to be a level of charm when you're in sales. So step number 1 really is to know your audience. You have to know who you're speaking to. I know every single one of you right here. I know how to speak to y'all. I'm sitting here because I know you. You have to feel that way with your clients. You have to know who you're speaking to. This is a slight review of last week for those of you who are here, because you have to speak the tribal language of the person that you're with. What does tribal language mean? You have to speak to their root personality. This is kind of what we brushed on a little bit last week with DISC, D-I-S-C. So I'm going to go into a quick little review of each one, because you need to quickly ascertain if this person is a D, an I, an S, or a C personality. And you don't have to be an expert of what these things mean. You just have to know the simple clues. So D, we're going to start with driver. Is the person a driver? Do they have a demanding, in a hurry type personality? Do they appear to be rude even though they're not? Does it seem like they're short and rude even though they're not being that way? Are they quick to make decisions, and do they just want the facts? Spare the emotion. I don't care if this is great, it's this and that. I want the facts. In a hurry. That's a D personality. You need to remember. So they're going to be slightly rushed. You might think they're rude if you're an S, but they're not. We're just purposely driven. So I is the next one. They're expressive. They speak in adjectives. They're excited. They're emotional.
They talk too much.
They talk a lot. Oh, I love my house. The living room has been so good. You know what? Last Thanksgiving we had the family come over, and it was just perfect because all the kids were over there, and they used this little thing. I think that's a good selling point, Vanessa, that the kids were able to all sit on this side of the house, and you're dealing with an eye. And you need to know, because they're sitting there, they're very expressive, and they're using adjectives in describing the situation. S, they're amiable. They're nice. Nice. They don't like confrontation. They want things even keel, and they do not like change. S clients don't like change. They're scared. A little bit scared. A little fearful. They might want to move, but they're waiting for you to make them move, in a sense. C is the last one, analytical. They're very cautious. They won't make decisions unless they have all the facts.
They want to see everything.
They want the figures. They want the stats. How many clients, when you get ready to make an offer, they email you a list of questions they have about that specific property? Has it ever flooded? What's the history on it? How much is insurance going to be? How much are the taxes? Are the taxes ever going to go up? Will my payment change? These are all the questions that are coming in. Some of them are based out of fear, but sometimes they're just a C personality. They're very analytical, and they want to know the whole picture before they get in. So, DISC, driver, expressive, amiable, or analytical. So, you need to know your audience and speak their tribal language. If you're working with a D, try to have the same personality traits. Try to be quick with them. Don't drag out, and you're going to see them looking at their watch a lot. You lost them. If you're going on and they're looking at this, they're in their next meeting already, and you're still trying to sell them the house, you've lost them, and there's a good chance you're going to lose them as a client because they're going to go to someone else who respects their time more. They don't want the facts. You tell me all the time, God, you don't ever get into any of the details of anything. It's like, well, sometimes I don't have time for it, and I'm already on the next thing, so I either need to make my decision and go with it, or I need to come back to it another day. And that's how way a D can be. You might think they're rude, but they're not. So speak their tribal language. Number 2 is body language. So one of the tactics you can do is you can wait 10 seconds after talking with someone, like really study someone for a few seconds, and then kind of match their body language. Sounds interesting, but recognize how they talk and what they do. Use the same hand gestures when it's your time to speak. Mimic their facial expressions. If they're raising their eyebrows a lot, do the same when you're responding to them. Randall, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get what we want for this house. Do you think we can sell it? I'm going to say, I know I can sell this house. I know we can do it. We can make this happen. That's how I would respond to that person. I'd get right up in their face if they get in my face. Or if they're sitting back, I just don't know if this is what we do. And I'll say, you know what, I actually do respect that quite a bit. And let's talk about something. I mean, I will mimic them and do what they do. Head nods are very powerful when you want to build rapport. If they're head nodding, you need to match them immediately because that means they're believing in you. It's a subconscious thing. In the restaurant industry, we were taught to use the Sullivan nod. If anyone's been in the restaurant industry, it's called the Sullivan nod. So when you'd walk up to a table and say, hey, tonight we're doing Veracruz style shrimp. It's bacon wrapped, stuffed with Monterey Jack cheese, jalapeno, grilled and everything. That sounds really good, doesn't it? Don't you want to get that? Yeah.
Oh,
And
man,
you do the Sullivan nod, and then you look, and then what I would do is I would sit there and I would pay attention to who I'm looking. I'm like, that sounds fantastic. Y'all came in for shrimp tonight, right? And I'd see the wife going. I'm like, I know she's getting it. Are you gonna get it too? And sure enough, the wife would order the shrimp, and then boom, I'd win sales contest. And so it's Sullivan nod. So you're gonna get those fajitas. They don't come with any sour cream. You want some sour cream with those, right? Yeah, of course. You'd be surprised. But, if you see someone nodding when you're talking to them, they're believing in that, and you need to acknowledge that and go with it. So, hey, this house seems to match everything on your list, right? Little subtle gestures, you'd be surprised. So, watch their body language and try to emulate it. It makes a difference. I guarantee you this. If you have an eye who's expressive and using body language and doing like that, and you're just standing there and you try to be Mr. or Mrs. Excellent Realtor, and I'm just giving you the facts and this and that, you're not on their level. You're not on their level. So the greatest salespeople, the people who have the best history of converting clients, are going to be the ones who can emulate all the different profiles. So, number 3 is mimic tonality. Tonality. Never mock or make fun of someone's accent. We're in Houston, in the Houston area. Lots of different cultures around here. Someone even posted in our Facebook group this weekend about cultures. Do you think it has to do with sellers? Do they only want to sell to certain types of people and this and that? It shouldn't be that way, but anyways, I'm not going to go into that because we're recording. Don't make fun of someone's accents. However, do speak loud or soft depending on their tone. If they're a very soft-spoken personality, quiet, and you're loud and in their face, you're going to push them away. You're going to scare them away. But if they're very loud and expressive, I think of our client. We had a client, Rodney. He was really loud. Like so loud, you'd be talking on the first floor and you'd hear him upstairs. I had to get back loud with him. Otherwise, he was overpowering me. Not in a mean way. He just was, Randall, I think we're going to do this. And I'd be like, then do it, man. Let's write it up. Let's get it. Come on, and then they'll laugh because they recognize that they've struck something with you. But you're mimicking their tonality. Now, there's 3 ways that people speak. Their throat. If they speak from their throat, they're a very froggy type of voice. I know this is kind of weird, but just bear with it here. They can speak with their throat. They might have kind of a froggy sounding throat. Or they speak through their nose. They can sound congested. Some people speak through their chest, and that's going to be your deep and loud spoken person. So pay attention to how their tone is. Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it high? Is it low? And try to match their tone. What you're doing by paying attention to their tribal language, their body language, and their tonality is you're getting on their level, you're building rapport with them, and you don't even realize it. So you're showing them that you are on their level. So let's go number 4. Breathe like they breathe. This is interesting. These are things people don't even think about. I guarantee you they teach this in the police academy. So breathe like people breathe. Watch their breathing. If it increases, slows down, then they could be getting good. I'm sorry. If it increases or it slows down, then they're getting excited, and that could be good or not good. Like if it goes up, and you notice you see them physically getting a little worked up. They're either getting excited or they're getting really freaked out. And you have to ascertain which way it's going. You don't know if you got to pay attention to that. Sometimes you even need to kind of stop and say, hey, let's take a minute. Let's take a couple minutes. Y'all want to talk about it for a few minutes, and we'll come back. And you pay attention to how they're reacting. Now, if they sigh with your response. Now, if they sigh, they're either relieved or they've resigned and pulled themselves out. It's either a positive or a negative sigh. I see it sometimes. You'll see some people go, okay, let's do this. And they're really I do it all the time. You always think I'm mad, right? When I'm driving, I'll just go, and I'll do that.
What's
And it's
wrong?
just like, what's wrong?
What's wrong?
You know, it's just me doing a stress clean out, and I'm good. And I'm completely fine. It's not negative, but you'll see some people sigh because they get frustrated. You know, so pay attention and be empathetic and sigh back with them. Be like, I don't know, should we do this? And I'll be like, yeah, I think so. I think it's the right one. I think you should do it. Do you agree? Doesn't that sound like the right thing? Okay, we're gonna get into that in a few minutes, but match their rate of speech. Match their rate of speech. If they speak quickly, pick up your pace and match it. If they're slow in speech, slow down. If you speak fast, when they speak slow, you're going to appear as a slick salesperson trying to slide something past them. That's not what we do. We don't want to try to slide anything past somebody. We don't want to trick anybody into anything. So match your speed of speech with their speed. Number 6 is repeat and approve. It shows that you're listening. I do this all the time on listing appointments. All the time. I will reaffirm their price. I try to get them to tell me their price in the beginning. So what's your magic number? What are you hoping to get out of this? 160? Okay, 160. I think that's very doable because let me go over some things, and then 10, 15 minutes later, I'm going to go back. So you do want to get 160, right? You said you wanted to sell for 160. So this is the things that we need to do this, and I'll go back and get. So, we're talking about 160. We want to make sure we achieve that number. I'll keep going on and on. I'll repeat and approve. It shows that I'm listening. Or they might say something and they won't even know I'm listening about their kids, and I'll bring up something like that. It instantly bridges a gap to rapport, and it shows that you're on the same page with them when you repeat some of the facts that they've said. Learn to repeat and approve with head nods. Here's my last clincher that I'll always repeat and approve. So you said you wanted to have this active by the 15th of this month, right? Yeah. Okay, well, that means we need to be meeting about 4 days prior to the 15th to get everything ready to go. So 15th is good. Yes. Okay, fantastic. Let's get ready. Boom. Always repeat and approve. It shows that you're paying attention. The last one, number 7, is to assume that you already have rapport. And that's interesting. When you're meeting with someone, assume that you already have rapport and speak as if you're close friends who you trust and that they trust you. Don't go in from a position of meekness where you're bashful and you feel like you've lost and you're trying to earn. No, go in like you already know the people and be confident. Hold your head and your shoulders up and pretend like you already know them when you're speaking to them. Be confident in your conversation. I guarantee you that's how you got that FISBO. That's the number 7 is the reason why you got that FISBO. You said they already talked to the agents, but you went in with more confidence.
I told them straight up that 300,000 was not going to happen, and you could sit on the market for a long, long time and have multiple price reductions with whatever other agent, because agents will take it and they'll just tell you what you want to hear, or we can list it right. You've chosen a great time to put your home on the market. If you want to aim for the top of the market, we can, but it's going to be 260.
Yeah.
And so we took it.
Cool. When someone gives you a referral, let's say some David sends you a referral and gives you a phone number and tells you to call his friend. When you call that person, say, hey, my name's Randall Martin with the Taylor Real Estate Service. David asked me to give you a call and said that you were interested in buying or selling a house. How you doing today? Oh, I'm doing great. Doing great. Well, I'm David's friend, and I've helped him on some transactions, and so let's talk a little bit about your game plan. How can I help? I'm instantly talking to them like I already know them, and I've never even met the person. But if it came from a referral, act like recite the person that sent it. So that person, if it was Martha told me to call you. This and that. So go back to what that is. Assume you have the rapport. So hopefully out of those 7, I touched on something maybe you didn't think about before. Most of the time it's probably breathing, because you don't pay attention to how people breathe. But when you're sitting there and you're in a house with 15 minutes with someone, man, you can be knocking all these things out. You're watching their body language. So how do you show homes, Randall? Oh, I don't have to point out all the features in a home. They're there. They're going to see them. I'm studying the client. I'm seeing if their body language matches the fact that they like the house. Are they planning in the rooms? Once they start saying, well, I think Jenny's bed can go over here, and I think the couch will fit over here, they're emotionally buying into that house already. So I'm going to get it to match that emotion. That's sales. It's not, look at the beautiful accents on the window, and oh, this street is this. Yeah, of course, point out some things if you know them, but focus on the client. That's what you're there for. So let's go over some tips on creating rapport. You want the seller to see that you care about them and the family. A listing appointment that I went on a couple weeks ago, I made sure to mention, I talked about this last week a little bit, I made sure to mention that we wanted to do certain things so the kids didn't feel like we were selling the house. We didn't want to neutralize their room because we don't want them to be shaken up because they're young kids and feel like, what's going on? And they get stressed. And I mentioned that to the wife and to the seller. I said, look, we don't want to disrupt the kids. Let's leave the kids' rooms decorated the way they are. And because that's an emotional thing. We don't want to disturb pets or kids when we're trying to sell a house. And she goes, I'm so appreciative that you said that. I really appreciate that you mentioned the kids. It's like, well, I understand. Boom. That instant rapport. So show that you care about them and their family. If they have children, ask their names and make sure you say hello to them. I always shake kids' hands. Always.
Yeah,
We'll go up and try to get them to shake their hand or do a high five or something. Because I want to, for one, make them comfortable with this stranger that's walking into their house. Same thing with pets. Ask if you can pet their animal. Don't just go up and try to pet it. You don't know. Say, would you mind if I introduce myself to the dog? Oh, sure. Hey, someone like me who's a dog lover, I love that. When AT&T comes in my house to do some work, I know my dog's going to be jumping all over them. They tell me, oh, it's okay. It's all right. Here, let him sniff me. Oh, fantastic. And my dog's calmed down and everything's good. My stress level went down. So I'm more attentive to the person inside my house now. So if they have a friendly dog, ask them to go. So number 2 is allow them to show you the home and comment on great features. Don't spend too much time. Lots of times I like to go straight into the presentation to see if I get it. But if they want to show you the house, let them. You don't tell them no. But this is also a great time to start doing some of your qualifying questions while you're walking through the house. I don't necessarily need them to show me the things. I have an eye for it. I can walk in the bathroom and I can tell if they've done something to it or not. They're going to tell me, we've changed this and this and that. That's fantastic. But really, as I'm walking through the house, I'm saying, so what's your time frame? Where are you moving to? This and that. Oh, you're moving out of state. Do you already have a realtor in that city helping you out? No, not yet. I tell you what, I'm going to get you some recommendations. Boom, you just got yourself a referral. So ask your qualifying questions while they're showing in the home. And go ahead and do comment on the great features of the home if you see them. So, number 3 is don't forget to take notes. People will ask, Randall, what listing presentation do you go in with? None. I go in with a yellow notepad and some numbers on the neighborhood. And that's what I walk in with. And I sit down, turn over a new sheet of the paper, and some of my signature line is, all right, what's the plan? Tell me where you're going. Oh, well we're moving over here. And I'm taking notes. I'm writing it down. Whether I use them or not, I'm writing a crap load of notes. I mean, I'm not doing this the whole time. I've gotten really good at writing without looking. If you've ever practiced that, try it. It's kind of impressive. It starts people up. I mean, I will sit there and I will just take my notes while I'm looking at you the whole time. And I'll do that, and I'll go in there like, I was like, oh, I do this quite a bit. I've gotten really good at taking my notes without having to look down. And, it just, in rapport. So, but anyways, don't forget to take notes. It demonstrates to the seller or the buyer that you're paying attention to what they say and that it matters. In the buyer, you'd be doing this during the consultation. When you're first meeting with them, you'd be taking notes down. So, and then recap your notes. So I would sit at the end and be like, okay, so this is what I got. Let me make sure we're on the same page here. We're talking about having the house on the market within 2 weeks, and this and that. Or you're talking about you need to move within the summer, and because it's going to take 45 to 50 days to close on a house, we really need to be under contract probably within the next 40 days or so. Sounds right? Okay, boom, we got this and that, and this and that. Okay. And don't forget the FORD acronym. I use this for when you're calling people to reach out to them, but you also use it with your buyers and your sellers. When you're sitting in the house or you're meeting a buyer consultation, don't forget to ask them about their family, how's the work going for them, what are they doing for recreation, and about their dreams. when I went into this Laporte listing the other day, he had tons of medals on the wall, and he had badges, like those runners things, whatever they are, I don't know what they're called. You can tell I don't run marathons. But, anyway, the numbers. And I looked at the thing, I was like, dang, I must be with an Olympian here, because he had a bunch of stuff. And it gave him opportunity for him to go talk about his running and his marathons and what he's working up to and all that kind of stuff. So, and I immediately struck a joke, and I'm like, well, you ran a 26 miles. That's 26.2 more than I run. So that's really good. You just make little jokes and this and that. So, but I'm asking them. It's important for me to know what they're about. It's a good idea to know if they're drinkers or not. Believe it or not. What if you want to get them a closing gift and you want to get them a bottle of Crown or something and they don't drink? So it's important to know what they're about. I know those sellers told me that they were bribing their floor person with a bottle of Crown, so I know they're drinkers. So I know that maybe that's kind of what I want to gear towards or something. But if they're not, they're not. Pay attention to what they like to do, because you want to stay in communication with them after the sale. So it's important to know some of these things. So, all right, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but just a little bit on neuro-linguistic programming. Have y'all heard of NLP? No one never heard of that? It's very interesting. Again, this is very psychology, sociology, stuff like that. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. It can be broken down into 3 words, basically. Neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro is brain, linguistic would be language, and programming is what we do with it. So, neuro refers to the brain. Linguistic is verbal and nonverbal. So, linguistic refers to the content that you're giving. It could be verbal content or nonverbal content. It could be body language, all that kind of stuff. And programming is the way that the content or the signal is manipulated to convert it to useful information. Bear with me for a second. The brain can direct the signal, change it based on prior experiences, and connect it to some other experience we have stored in our brain. So how many times has someone started telling you something, you're like, oh yeah, I've had that happen. You know what? I had a situation back when I was 12 years old when a spider came up and bit me, and now I have this horrible fear of spiders and all this kind of stuff. We take information that someone gives us, and we try to relate it to something that's happened in our past. And so the brain converts it into thinking patterns and behaviors that are the basis of our experiences in life. So when we're talking with someone, we want people to relate what we're saying to something in their life. Maybe you're talking about how you want to try to get them, or you want to save them money on this purchase. Hey, you know what? I want to make sure that you have as much as you can put down as possible. The more you can put down, the better purchasing situation that you're in. So you get on this, and then maybe it relates back to something that they've hit, but just, like I said, I don't want to go too much into that, but think about subliminal messages of what they see. I do this a lot when I'm giving people staging advice on homes. I always ask them to face their pantry to where all the labels are facing to the front, so whenever someone opens the pantry, it looks like a grocery store. And people are looking at me, and lots of times they're frustrated, like, really, I got to face my pantry? It's like, it's really the one action item I really need you to do. Because if people come in and they open that door, their brain goes back to an experience of them walking down the soup aisle in a grocery store with all the things faced to the front, and they associate with cleanliness and organization, and that's how I want them to think about your house. That would be something like I'm talking about. You're creating a nonverbal instance that's going to cause someone to relate back to a memory that they have and cause them to think. I also always ask people to change out their air filters the week we list, their return air filters to make sure they're clean, dust their air vents, these kind of things. Get everything off the floor in a closet and move it to the top, because bigger floors create a perception of bigger space. So all these little things are subliminal. So pay attention to that kind of stuff.
I just remember that I did a cleanup this week.
Oh.
In my house.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I removed a few things. I was like, ooh, that looks much better.
Mhm.
Spacious. I was like, I like that. So I just, I'm sorry.
There's three things that I tell every person without fail. It's organize your pantry so it looks like a grocery store. Throw out the old food that you're not going to eat. You didn't eat it the last 6 months. You're not going to eat it this 6 months. Get rid of it. Throw it out. Change your air filters, and then put fresh caulk around the bathtubs and the sinks. A fresh bead of white caulk all around all the things is going to make it look like brand new. So those are 3 things that you can do that's cheap. All of that costs you a total of $5 or less probably. You get cheap air filters, and the caulk tube is like $1.50, $2. So, okay, now let's get into the meat here. We're good. We're right on time. 30 minutes. We're going to go into tie downs and embedded commands. and then we're pretty much going to wrap up with a little bit of role playing and finish up. There's two common techniques for neuro-linguistic programming: tie downs and embedded commands. The purpose of tie downs keeps the customer involved. It distracts the customer from strong language patterns. We'll go to that in a minute. And they turn your questions from uncertain to certain. So let's go into a couple examples of tie downs. I'm going to say them to you. Isn't that what you want? Does that work for you? Right? Just asking the question, right? That's what you wanted, right? You said, yeah, you don't even know what I'm talking about. Isn't that right? Isn't it? These are questions that you're asking somebody. Don't you agree? Don't you agree that this house matches about 7 of the things that you wrote down on your list? 7 of the 10. Don't you agree with that, Cody? Wouldn't that be great if the seller accepted an offer from us that was, that we can go ahead and try to make this? Wouldn't that be great if the seller just accepted it? Okay. Just point saying, okay. Isn't that true? Don't you think it would be great if you were in this home before school started? Haven't you? And wouldn't you? Those are tie-down questions that you ask somebody that is their brains relating what you're asking to a personal experience, and they're trying to see if that would work. So the difference of, would you like to make an offer? Or, wouldn't it be fantastic if we made an offer and the seller accepted it? Totally different way of asking the same question. But you're not do you want to make an offer? Are you ready to list your house? Wouldn't it be great if you got your home on the market like the next week and we had multiple offers and you just had to pick the best one? Wouldn't that be, that would be fantastic, right? And they're in their brain, they're thinking, they're envisioning multiple offers, getting it. They're visualizing themselves signing the offer. You have a better chance of going. That's a tie down. You're tying them down to that emotion, to that moment. I'm going to go over embedded commands, and then we're going to go over a couple examples. So an embedded command is, the purpose of embedded commands are to subconsciously plant an idea or action into the mind of the client. You want to put the emphasis on the command when using it in the sentence. Start the sentence, pause, say the command, pause, finish the sentence. Your goal was to get the house on the market this summer, right? That's an embedded command. I'm saying, your goal was to list in June, right? It would work out if, well, I'll stop it. Anyways, you see where I'm going. You're getting it, you're reaffirming. This is when taking notes is so important, because you need to pick up on all these little things that they're saying timeline. And your job as a salesperson is to take that jumbled information that they're spitting, because they're spitting it at you. Come on, I've never been to a listing appointment where I don't have the husband and the wife both saying, we really want to be up in June. We don't know if we're going to get enough for the house, but the kids start. We really want them in Clear Creek ISD. And, God, we were hoping to get all this money. And I'm just... And I was like, okay, well, let me look at this for just a second. And they're sitting there staring at me. So, it'd be really great if we were to get the home on the market in June, so that we can have an offer and be closing this summer, right? I mean, that's how I'm going to process that information and get it back. That's what I'm seeing. And then they're like, yes, that would be so nice. Do you think that can happen? Okay, so here's some example of some embedded commands. Sign the contract. These are going to be a little more direct. Buy this house. Come to the office. Decide tonight. The market's pretty hot right now. Don't you think maybe we should decide tonight if we want to make an offer on this house or not? Get moving now. Make a decision. Say yes. Mr. Seller, I really think we should say yes and get this offer going for you so we can get your time goal, right? Get in there. Set an appointment. Extend the listing. I know we're not in that market, but just trust me, there will be a time when you might have to extend that listing.
Price reduction.
Oh, yeah.
Reduce the price. Change your price. Hire me. Buy now, sell now. Let's get started. After, Mr. Seller, after I've gone over all these numbers, don't you understand the importance of pricing it right in order to get this home sold in your neighborhood? Let's meet on blank at blank. These are all embedded commands. You're commanding, you're asking for action from them immediately. So let's go over a couple scripts. You're in a listing presentation and you say, based on my presentation tonight, don't you agree that I'm the right person for getting your home sold? Don't you agree? You're putting that emphasis on it. Hey, based on everything that I've gone over with you, the numbers and all that, don't you agree that I'm the most qualified person to get this home sold? How about sign the contract and let me present it to the seller? Why don't we sign the contract and let me present it to the seller so you can get your dream home? Won't that be great? Wouldn't it be great if the seller accepted? Let's go ahead and sign the contract and let me get that offer in there this afternoon. Won't it be great? You know, that's the way you're going into. You're not saying, do you want to make an offer? They're going to say, I want to think about it. Don't you think this is the perfect home? Or you got a buyer and they don't really know hey, when can you see homes? I'm available all day Saturday. Do you want to be available all day Saturday? No. How about let's go see 4 homes on Saturday at 10 a.m. Does that work for you? It goes both ways. You're setting that push. You're setting that tone. Otherwise, I'm available Friday. Let me know what works for you. They're going to come back with some odd hour, and 9 times out of 10, it's not going to match what you really think, what you're really available. So go back and say, wouldn't that work for you? So, okay, here's a couple of objection handlers. Now, this is going to be one for selling and one for buying. How about, well, I really wanted to list my home higher. Great. I understand that you want to net more money and that homes have sold recently. I'm sorry. Great. I understand that you want to net more money, and the homes that have sold recently tell us that your home needs to be priced at $165. Isn't that true? This is assuming you've already gone over the numbers and you've shown that you think it's going to sell, let's say, at $165, and they say, well, I really wanted $190. That's great. I know you want to get as much money as you can, but based on the numbers that I've shown you, we need to be in that $160 range. Don't you agree? Isn't that true? That's a embedded command at the end. You're asking, do you agree? Because your thing is going to say, no, I disagree. I'm going to say, how? Let's look at these numbers again. And so you've already shown them those numbers. So how about we need a few days to think about it? Have we ever had buyers say that?
Absolutely.
You show them a house, Itala, I want to think about it. And what are you thinking? It's going to be gone.
Oh, I tell them that too.
All right.
It's still here.
The example they give is actually a listing example, but it can go both ways. I understand that you need a couple days, but based on my presentation tonight, don't you agree that getting your home on the market immediately is what your family needs in order to be moved by July, like you want? Or you show them the house and they say, I want to think about it. Well, I've kind of shown you some stats for this neighborhood. Everything's selling in 3 to 4 days. Don't you agree it'd be probably best if we get the offer written tonight so I can get it in there? And then what if the seller accepted your offer? Wouldn't that be great? And then remind them that they can always go back. So you're setting that, you're getting them to buy in. That's what you want to do. You want to get them to buy in. Here's some embedded commands. Now remember, embedded commands are a little more direct. They feel a little weird because we're not used to being direct all the time with people, but it's all about how you do it. So, we've looked at all the homes today, and we really kind of agreed that this last one matches most everything on your list, right? Awesome. Well, let's sign the offer so we can get you moved in the next 30 days, or 45 days, or whatever it is. Let's sign the offer so we can get in there to the seller. Or, I've gone over all my listing stuff with you. Let's sign the contract so we can get you moved in the next 30 days. So, all right. How about you've got a listing that hasn't sold, and it's coming up to the end of the contract, and you're, oh my gosh, I got to ask them for an extension. I don't know what to say. What do I do? But you know they want to move to another place, right? So you say, okay, Jason, how about I send you the paperwork? We can extend the listing so we can get you moved to Florida like you need to. You're not putting the negative on, we haven't sold. I've been on the market 6 months. It hasn't sold. I don't know why. I think we need to extend. Well, you sound like a coward. I think I need to switch agents. How about, look, your goal is still to move to Florida. Look, I know it's been a few months. You really still want to move to Florida, right? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's extend that let's extend the list. Here we go. Embedded command. This is it for price reduction. The market is telling us to reduce the price to $475. Not me. I'm not telling you to reduce the price. I want you to sell it for more. I want to get you more money. But the market's telling me we need to reduce the price. That's your embedded command. The market is telling us to reduce the price to $475. You've talked to a buyer. You've gone through the presentation, and they realize that interest rates are fantastic, and they're pre-approved. Everything's ready. I'm glad that you and they're ready. They're pretty much ready to take action. You're trying to get that final clincher in there, and they found the house that they like. So I'm glad you can see the right thing to do is to buy now and not wait. Maybe this comes up when you hear the feds are about to raise prices or something's going on. CFPB was the last thing. Remember, we were telling people, hey, get your offers in there before CFPB takes place. Hey, great. I'm glad you understand that there's some changes coming up next month. So you agree that it's the right time to buy now, right? Let's not wait. Embedded commands. So you like the home? Great. Let's start the paperwork so we can get the home sold, or we can get that offer into the seller. Let me start the paperwork now so we can get this offer signed and into the seller. How's that? Does that work for you? Yeah. So the house that fits all your needs? Great. Let's make an offer so we can get the deal accepted for you. So all your things are make the offer, reduce the price, buy now, sign the contract. You're being very direct, but you're not just leaving it alone. You're always referring back to what it is. So how about when someone says, here's another script for someone that wants to buy, that wants to think about it. Let me think about it. Well, I can appreciate that, and I think it's important for you. Okay, sorry. I can appreciate that, and I do think it's important for you to decide tonight so you don't run the risk of losing the home to someone else. I really like this home, Ethala, but I just want to go home and think about it. My husband and I want to talk about it tonight. That's great. I appreciate that. I really do think you need to go ahead and decide tonight. Otherwise, someone else is going to come up and take it from you.
Because someone's having the exact same thoughts as you are.
That's right.
Yesterday.
That's right. But you're putting emphasis on that. I really think you should decide tonight so that we can get that going. Well, we need to see more houses. That happens, right? I just started looking. This house does match almost everything we want, but I feel like we haven't seen enough houses to make our decisions. That is always, that's a C. You're right, it's a C personality. Obviously, today, we have seen the perfect home for you. And sometimes buyers, when they see the perfect home, they want to see more just to make sure. However, instead of losing this home and having to settle for your second choice, let's buy this house so your family can start living happy. Wouldn't that be great? But that whole thing, because, you know, while you're thinking about it, someone else is getting that offer in there, and then you can start thinking about your second or third choice. That's not as fun. Let's get that one in there. So that's how you use embedded commands, tie downs. You're putting the emphasis on the ask. You're not being cold. You're paying attention to who you're talking to and who you're going with, and you're putting the emphasis on the action item. Because ultimately, when we're not direct, the client, they're often looking to us to guide them and tell them what to do without telling them what to do. I'm not going to force someone to sign a contract under duress and then get them to break the ethical code and all this kind of stuff. But I want to let them know that I've paid attention to them and I feel that this is the right thing. Let me put the emphasis on that. So hopefully you got something individually from that. And of course, I'm going to go around and ask everybody to say one thing that you picked up that maybe someone else didn't catch or whatnot. And I'll start with Jason. What's one thing that you picked up?
It brought me back to, a way of basically you can ask a question and get somebody to do something. Back in my days in the chemical plant, I know we've got a big job coming up. Hey, would you mind taking the lead on getting these guys set up? You're, in a way, you're asking a question, or you're saying it with a smile, but you're sending the strong message to them without being, forcing it down their throat.
Yeah.
Like, where they take it from.
That's a good point. We got a big project coming up. Jason, wouldn't you agree that you're the best person to lead this project? I can't think of anybody better. Isn't that right? Now you just agreed to take the thing.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Good point.
You work nights for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need that TPS report.
That's right. That's right. Julio, did you get something from it?
Just like with facing up the pantry, like giving people more familiarity, so whenever they make a decision, they feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, exactly. That you want them to your product, your listing is inventory. I even go so point is saying that, and sometimes people look at me funny. I was like, okay, once this home goes live, it's not your home anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go, no, it's mine. You signed it over to me. It's my inventory now. I got to get it sold for you so you stay happy, right? So we can get you the next one to make that one your home. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I'm reinforcing of why I'm selling this or why I have to treat it as inventory so I can move you to the next one. So you can get that next one and set that one up. So it's my little project now. Got to get this done. So, Cody.
Mine was the rate of speech. My ideas come out fast, and that's where my confidence kind of stems from. So it comes off very salesy and slick. And I think just even in general, like in past sales endeavors, that's where I failed because I'm talking so fast, and they're not really catching on to what I'm saying so much. They're just looking like, man, this guy is a fast, slick talker.
Yeah.
And I don't want to buy anything from him. So I've got to get that corrected.
Sometimes you have to take a deep breath and mimic them and move their direction.
That's what it was.
That's
Mimic their tonality, mimic their body language.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. How do you feel? How do we feel when someone comes up and they're the total opposite of us? Just like, damn, I wish this person would shut up. Get out of here. I'm ready. You're already looking at what your next appointment is and seeing what you got to go to and this or they're boring. What about if they're boring? You're sitting there thinking, oh my god, I could be doing all these other things.
That's what I was thinking during this meeting.
Wow! Ouch! Ouch! So is that what is yours?
The tie downs. I think I probably use some of them more than I think, but just being conscious of actually using them every time I talk to someone.
That's right. Yeah, being conscious. Purposely on your next appointment, try to throw one in there. Study the tie downs. Think about what you're going to say. So try the wouldn't it be great, because that one really resonates with people. It does with me. So, man, this is a nice house, isn't it? Wouldn't it be great if you were moving into this thing in about 40 days? Oh my gosh, that'd be crazy. I was like, you already pictured where the kids' rooms are going to go. Wouldn't it be great? What if we wrote the offer tonight? All the seller can say is no. Wouldn't it be great if they accepted it? Yeah, that's right. Well, let's get the shot. How about I go and do the paperwork now, and I'll have it to your email this afternoon so we can get in there tonight? Wouldn't that be fantastic?
That would be great. We could be in here today.
Let's get it in there.
You?
You know what? I'm faster than all these other. Yeah, exactly. I'm very expressive when I talk. I am. I'm extremely expressive. I'll throw my hands up in the air. I was like, people are gonna walk in the house and be like, "Oh my God, this is crazy! We get out of this house." I'm in the cellars. They're laughing. That's the way. I get that way with people. I am. It's like you don't want them to walk in. I'll stand up. I'll be like, "You'll be sitting down." I'll get up. I'm like, "Look, this is what we don't want." Someone to walk in the door and go, "Oh my God, it smells like dogs. Let's go." And then they're sitting down and the sellers are laughing. Yeah, I get up. I'm an I. I'm an I, but I have a lot of D, coming out. But I get expressive with people, and then I find they get the same way sometimes too.
Put the pencil and scissors down.
Yeah. Throw things and knock stuff over. I was the kid that knocked drinks over too. Ethala, what'd you pull out?
I like the tips from the things from before.
The subliminal things that you can do to exactly. You know, I really try to find the word. My favorite word is to find commonalities with people. I love the word commonalities. I don't know why, because it's a big goal of mine to find out what I have in common with other people, because that's how I'm going to relate to that person for the rest of my life. It's that one thing. Think of somebody a friend of yours that you don't see all the time. What do you ask that person when you see them? So I think of who's someone? Isaac. You know, my commonality with him is we were both in the restaurant industry together. You know, I'll walk up and I'll be like, "Hey man, how's the restaurant going? How's your schedule going?" That's the thing I'm going to ask him about. What's the one thing that you ask your friends about? We have a tendency to default to work, but there's other things. You know, like a lot of people. You know, they maybe they had a baby, or they got married, or they just got back from maybe they go on lots of vacations. And you see them like, "Hey, where did you go, Lisa? I know you probably took 5 vacations the last time I saw you. Where were you at last time?" I find those commonalities. With me, lots of times it's golf or sports or something like that, or concerts. And so, you know, I find out what they like and I try to relate to them as much as I can.
And another thing I like it too is when you mentioned about don't change the kids' room.
Oh, yes.
So it
Yes.
keep the kids not too stressed about the movie.
Yeah.
So that's
Mhm.
because sometimes we tend to let's put this on the market in the way it better sells and forget about the kids. It's a big move for them.
Yeah. You know, I like to appeal to the buyers. What if the buyer has a child? What if the buyer has a little girl and they come in and they see your pink room? They might fall in love with that. It happened on Brookdale. So we left it pink. It had these staggered pink and gray walls and everything. It's like, let's leave it. Buyer had a daughter. Perfect. So, and if they don't, it's paint. It's easy to fix. But let's leave it set up, you know, this and that. So, but, you know, show your expertise by making those suggestions as well. Now, on the buyer side, sometimes you got to help the people overlook those kind of things, because you walk into a house and it looks really cramped. Well, maybe they walk in and they say, "Oh man, these closets are too small," and then you're a trained eye. You're looking at it, you're like, "Actually, they're not that small. They're just very crowded." And I'll bring them back. It's like, "Hey, come take a look at this. I know we're not supposed to do this, but let me just kind of move a couple things over. Like, look, you can see that there's actually a lot of space in this closet. I don't think it's as small as you think it is. They just did a bad job of preparing it." Well, yeah, you know, you're right. You know, you can sometimes.
To me, in our house when we bought our house, remember when we were going in the kids' closets, and I was like, "Man, these closets are going to be really small." And he's like, "There's no sheetrock up. You just can't tell what the size is."
She got you.
I'm like,
Actually, what I did was I walked in. I said, "What kind of thing are you talking about putting in here? Dresser are you talking about putting in here?" "Well, I just want a standard dresser." I said, "Okay, no problem. Okay, look, so you're talking about putting a 5-foot dresser in here. Look, that's going to come up to right here, and they're going to be about 18 inches wide." So I was like, "Look," I go, "here's that." I go, "It's going to fit right here." I go, "It's plenty big. It's what you want, right?" And you said, "Yeah."
That's what you want, right?
I did. I mean, those are tie downs. You don't even realize you're throwing them in there, but it ties people in.
As he's doing
Decide
so.
to hide.
Yeah,
isn't that what you did to me when we got married? Wouldn't you like to marry me?
Don't you agree? Wouldn't that work for you?
I do now.
Gosh.
What the market is telling us.
You got the ring and he's like,
Hey, wouldn't
Wouldn't it be nice?
it be nice if the next time we rode the bed it had louder exhaust on it, and then you said yes? And
Don't worry, because they're coming back to you.
Oh gosh.
I'm going to start using them on you now.
Say yes. Let's get
Right.
moving.
Yeah, that's funny. Jeanette, did you pick up anything?
Well, the things I was able to hear was mimic how their language is, because sometimes if they're like because I do this to Vince all the time. If he sighs at me, I sigh at him back. Why are you doing this to me? I'm like, you're doing it to me. I'm like, is it okay for you to do it? But I feel like that way, like they'll kind of sometimes catch on to it.
And it depends on the tone of what they're going. I mean, if they're feeling stressed, feel empathize. Like, I understand. It's scary. I know, Sandra. It's scary. You've never written an offer before, but I'm gonna show you how easy it is. How about I get the paperwork together and I'll go over it line by line with you. We'll get in there tonight. Wouldn't it be great if the seller accepted it and you don't have to write any more offers? That would be great. That's the kind of That's the difference between someone that closes and someone that just has a bunch of people who don't do anything, who go and buy with other people. Obviously, like, why did I leave? I showed them so many homes. Why did they go buy with someone else? That person tied them down somehow. Not in a physical, negative way, in a positive way. I am very susceptible to tie downs. I always have a bunch of things in my head that I would kind of want. I always want a couple things whatever. I'm like, you know what? I really could do that. I just need to be sold on it. You know, I really want these. I'm not sold on it yet. And it takes the right person to come in and sell me on it. I don't even ask questions. Go ahead, do it. You know, Jeff sold me with that stupid app. That shopping app, whatever. He came in. He's like, yeah, it's like Christmas. I've always got this and this, and I pay like $9 for a drone. And I was like, what? He goes, you like electronics, don't you? I was like, yeah. He goes, get this app. I was like, okay. And I downloaded it right there. You know, I didn't ask any questions. I set up an account. You know, it's like sometimes I just need someone to put it in. So, anyways, that's that. Anybody have any questions or any role playing or anything on that makes sense? Clear as mud. I got everybody out of here in less than an hour. So, good deal. Thanks for being here.